Hello and welcome to Early Childhood Ireland's podcast, which features interviews and discussions on all issues relating to high quality in the early years and school-age care sector. In our episodes, we have a range of speakers who are leaders in the areas that matter to Early Childhood Ireland members. This podcast series is proudly supported by Arachas Insurance, which offers a comprehensive range of cover at discounted premiums for both business and personal insurance products. So visit www.arachas.ie for more information. I'm Maura Corbett and I work with Early Childhood Ireland, and I'm really delighted to welcome you to a special edition of Early Childhood Ireland's podcast. This week, I'm really pleased to be chatting with Grahame Brown, Account Director with Arachas. Grahame looks after the Early Childhood Ireland Group Insurance Scheme. As you may know, Arachas is the broker who delivers our group insurance scheme, which is underwritten by Allianz, and many of our members will have been in contact with them lately to renew their insurance for their setting. Arachas also sponsors our podcast, which we really appreciate. Early Childhood Ireland members often have questions about the benefits of the group insurance scheme, so we're really delighted to have Grahame with us today to answer some of these questions. Grahame, you're really welcome. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Maura.
So we'll start with what it might seem a basic question. What exactly is a group insurance scheme, Grahame?
Okay. Well, a group insurance scheme is insurance cover for a group of people which are members of an organisation, as in the Early Childhood Ireland Group Scheme, or for example, other business sectors or sports or charities groups which come together. It's normally an insurance product designed and tailored for the specific requirements of the organisation or group and the sector they operate in. It's usually put together by an insurance broker like Arachas, who will discuss the requirements with the organisation and ensure that the product has all the insurance covers that the members need. Arachas themselves have been providing schemes across many sectors for many years and have been providing childcare schemes for over 40 years. We would have a wealth of experience in the sector and a dedicated childcare team who can provide quick turnaround times and document change requests, and also well able to answer any queries from clients. We work closely with Early Childhood Ireland, their members, to ensure at all times they have the documentation required under legislation and also for TUSLA requirements.
Grahame, for our members, what are the benefits to members of being in a group insurance scheme?
Well, the group insurance scheme is a collective solution. It sort of allows insurance companies to offer increased covers at lower premiums than might be the case for individual policies. So the members get the benefit of the combined sort of premiums for all sort of members in the scheme across the sector. The risks are pooled together and the claims and premiums are looked at across the scheme. It's usually done on a community rating basis as well. So that means that if an individual service has a large claim during the year, the premium does not automatically increase the following year. The claims are spread across the group as a whole, as are the premiums. So insurers can look at it as a collective rather than on an individual basis. If a member was to look for a policy with the same covers on an individual basis, the premiums would be a lot higher than is available through the group scheme. Another advantage is that covers and rates can be negotiated annually with insurers, again on the collective basis, which allows for favourable rates to be agreed due to the larger group.
And, in terms of what are the benefits provided by the group scheme available to Early Childhood Ireland members, can you take us through some of what those benefits are that maybe mightn't be available in a group scheme? What's the value to members in that?
Sorry, Maura, could you repeat that?
What, in terms of, the breadth of the benefits that are offered to Early Childhood Ireland members who avail of the group scheme. Can you take us through what some of those benefits might be?
Yeah, well, as I was saying, the benefits to the members are that they get all the covers they require at a much reduced premium than they would be able to get outside of the scheme. So we've done this exercise ourselves. So for all the covers that are included under the scheme policy, to buy those on an individual basis would cost at least 3 times as much in the insurance market. It also means that they get access like to specialist sort of both claims, childcare claims people with Allianz, with the insurer, and also with Arachas, with individuals who've been dealing with the childcare industry for years. We have also organised separate discounted motor and home insurance for Early Childhood Ireland members, which they can avail of. Now, a lot of services would use vehicles to transport kids or collect kids and stuff like that. That's not normally covered under a standard insurance policy, and policies done through Allianz will automatically include that cover. And also for some members who operate from their own homes, they might have a sessional service operating from part of the house. The house insurance can be noted to that is happening there, whereas usually a home insurance excludes businesses operating from the home.
And does the car and home insurance, does that cover staff, educators in member settings as well, or is it just the member?
It can include, like a policy can be taken out if it's a staff member who is using their car. It can cover those, yes.
Okay, so
but the policy has to be taken out in the name of the individual who owns the vehicle.
Okay, if you've the room leader in the preschool room, can they get that cover on their own car?
Yes,
they can. Okay,
they can, but they just have to declare that to us, and we'd organise it with Allianz on the motor facility.
So they just say that they're working in a setting that's covered under the group scheme, and their personal car is covered.
Yeah.
Perfect. So rates have fallen this year, Grahame, which is a good news story for our members. Why have the rates fallen? Is it a trend, do you think?
Okay, well, rates have reduced slightly this year due to improved claims performance across the sector as a whole. It's not necessarily a trend, however. Like, insurers review the performance of the scheme on an annual basis, and the rates are set accordingly. Claims are usually looked at, say, over the last 5 years. Now, there was an anomaly in the COVID years where services were closed for large periods of time, and obviously there was the claims over those periods were obviously minimal. There have been some very poor...
No activity, no claims, I suppose.
No activity, no claims, exactly. There have been some very poor years in the past and some good years too, so claims can very much go up and down. Unfortunately, when you're talking on claims, in a lot of cases, awards are made against the provider, even though there might be no clear negligence on the part of the service. And even when an award is agreed between the insurer and the claimant, as a child is involved, it has to be ruled by a judge. And in a lot of cases, the insurers see the amount of the award increased by the judges. As across all business sectors, the legal costs associated with the claims remain very high, and they continue to push up the cost of claims. You could see legal costs being over 40% of the cost of the claim.
Very frustrating.
It is, and it continues to be very hard to bring down the cost of claims with the legal costs so much involved, and people not necessarily accepting the awards through the injuries board and going to court, which then incurs all the legal costs.
So for now, the rates are falling, which, as I say, is
the rates have come down this year. There's nothing to say that will be the case next year, but it was great to be able to negotiate a slight discount on the scheme this year, yes.
And sometimes when we post blogs about risky play and adventurous play, or we do podcasts, sometimes members say, but am I covered to do that on insurance? Can you give us the categoric answer on that as things stand at the moment, Grahame?
Yes, so the scheme covers, as insurers would like to call it, rather adventurous play rather than risky play. So the the adventurous play has been included on the policy for the last number of years. Early Childhood Ireland have been promoting this type of play, and ourselves and Early Childhood Ireland did a joint presentation to the insurers following sort of sharing of a lot of information about this type of play and videos showing the kids in sort of Scandinavian countries and other sort of European situations. And after consideration and review of risk assessments and stuff like involved with that, insurers have agreed to cover it. And so there is no problem. It is covered under the scheme.
Which is great, because it's so important for children to have those opportunities.
Absolutely, and insurers did understand that that was the way it was going, and that it was good for the children to be able to do that. And they work with us and with Early Child Ireland to make sure that the insurance product is suitable for what is required. So it was good, and they understood the request and went with it, and thankfully it continues to perform continues to perform well from a claims point of view.
Good. That's excellent. Which I suppose goes to show that, what we've been saying for years is the case, that, children learn to be careful through the opportunity to be adventurous and so on. Another question that sometimes arises, Grahame, is kind of HR issues, legal advice, and so on. What's the cover? What's the benefit on legal and HR issues?
Yeah, there is a legal expenses cover included on the policy, and now it's in the Allianz policy, but it's underwritten by a separate legal expenses insurer called Arachas. Now it covers free legal advice. It provides legal defence costs for employee situations. Now, so if an employee takes a claim against the service or discrimination, for example, or that's one that comes up a bit, or well, what else would be covered, like sort of any sort of sexual harassment issues or all of those sort of bullying, that sort of thing. It's covered under the legal defence. Now, the ideal way to deal with it is for once something like this happens, that the service rings ARAG immediately and gets their advice on it, as to how to handle it. So they register this and they'll guide the service provider all the way through. They're experts in this field, so usually it sort of means that they've done everything properly and the person doesn't have a valid claim against the service. So they will cover also to cover defence costs in WRC or anything like that. So it's important that if anything like this happens, that the services contact ARAG as soon as the situation arises and follow their advice from the outset. In relation to that legal expenses cover, there's also legal advice helplines on the policy. So at any stage, they can just ring up to get legal advice on something. And if they're needed, the policy also includes counselling helplines, which are open to both service owners and also employees.
That's a fantastic benefit, because counselling and legal advice, and when issues do arise, such as bullying, it's great to have all that cover available at no extra cost. It's a huge benefit. So thanks for taking us through that. So I was going to ask you about the other benefits for car and home, but we've spoken about that already. So that's great to know that for educators in member settings as well, they can feel the benefit. So is there anything else that you think our members should know about the group insurance scheme offered by Arachas and Allianz to Early Childhood Ireland members? Anything else that I didn't think to ask you?
It's important more that the scheme is there. What's happened in the past is that insurers have come and gone out of the market on childcare. Like, they've underpriced risks maybe, and then they've stayed in it for a couple of years and then they've left the market. And we've tried to keep it as a sort of a competitive, sort of comprehensive cover, but as a sustainable level, so that it's there for the long term. So members know that they're going to have that cover there, and that they won't be left, like if the insurer pulls out of the market altogether and there's nobody left to do it, that they won't be left running to try and find individual rates, and people who've had the misfortune to have had a claim, um, paying multiples of what they're paying now to try and get any sort of similar cover. So it is a very important thing for the industry. It provides sort of certainty, and we work closely with Early Childhood Ireland, and we do approach the market every year to see if there's other insurers available. But it is very important to maintain the group scheme, because without it, it will push up the insurance costs for all members.
Great. Grahame, thanks so much for that overview. It's been really interesting to hear about the benefits of the group scheme and how individual settings can kind of benefit from that shared experience, that kind of if they're unfortunate enough to have a claim, that it doesn't automatically mean that their premium is immediately impacted or impacted the following year. So that's all really reassuring. Thanks a million for taking the time to chat through all of that. I really appreciate it. Thanks, Grahame.
No problem, Maura. Thank you very much.
And thank you for listening to this episode of Early Childhood Ireland's podcast, which is proudly supported by Arachas Insurance. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and spread the word to your friends and colleagues, and stay tuned for our next episode.